how it was started. So we heard a few really outstanding words earlier, so by Professor Rabinovici and Chris Lever-Smith. So now I think it would be good to know a bit more about the Torino meetings that happen, and that seems to have, thanks to Sweden, starting up and helped a lot. So maybe Todd, if you want to say a few words as well on that time.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me, and has been very interesting to follow all this. I've been on the council all since the beginning, but there are many, I heard things here that I haven't heard before. It was illuminating for me. Let me also congratulate Herman. This meeting is dedicated to you, and I find that completely correct. You are one of the great originators of SESAME. In my perspective, the origin of SESAME started from two independent initiatives. One of Herman Winick and Gus Voss, as already described, and the other one by Sergio Febini, which has been less exposed here. In fact, it was Sergio who brought me in on to this project. He organized in November 1995 a historical first theory meeting, CERN meeting on high-energy condensed matter and environmental physics in the hub, to which many physicists in the Middle East were invited, and following which the Middle East Scientific Collaboration MESC, MESC, was set up, which was really the precursor to SESAME. The name of SESAME came up only later in 1998. There was an article in CERN Courier which highlighted this CERN meeting with a portrait of Sergio at the first page that I put on the wall, and there is also a poster by or a letter by Roman Jakiv in Physics Today, recounting these early days of the Middle East scientific collaboration. So this first seminar was between theorists. I did not attend this seminar, but I was at that time chairing the IGFA, International Committee for Future Accelerators Instrumentation Panel, which was organizing biannual schools on high-energy physics instrumentation in different parts of the world. And Sergio asked me to help to organize in 1996, so the year after the CERN meeting, a second MESC seminar, which would then be on experimental physics, experimental techniques in high energy, and synchrotron radiation physics in the Middle East, as a follow-up then on the theory seminar that he had organized in the hub. However, shortly after he contacted me, well, I started organizing this, but shortly afterwards, the relation between Israel and Palestine deteriorated, and made the organization of a seminar in the Middle East, which was the idea, like the hub meeting, impossible. So we then thought we would organize the meeting in Europe, and Sergio contacted, as I remember well, he was a professor in Torino, and he contacted his colleagues in Torino to see if we could have this next seminar, MESC seminar, organized there. And this became possible. We were organizing this meeting, and we started inviting people. But then the conflict in the Middle East escalated further, and it became impossible to even have this meeting in Italy, or have to, because the idea was, of course, to bring in people from the Middle East. So we postponed that meeting till the next year, 97. And at that time, it could be realized, and it met with success. There were some 20 European and American leading scientists on high-energy and condensed matter experimental techniques, detectors, etc., speakers, and 30 of the order, 30 invited attendees from the Middle East, 10 Israelis, 9 Palestinians, 6 Jordanians, 2 Moroccans, and 1 Syrian, who attended this program, which took a week of lecturing and discussions. There is, I have a picture of the poster on the wall of what you have set up. What do you call it? Wall of ideas.
Idea.
Yeah. So anyhow, at this meeting in Torino, and in fact, let me maybe see, I could, if I could just share that program. Let's see if I can get that up. Do you see that now?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So let me just raise it on my screen. So here you can see, so this is Torino. Here you can see the list of speakers, the people invited from the Middle East, although there is, for example, Ada Yonath here as one speaker, and Ada mentioned this event in her introduction. And you see the first on the list here is Gus Voss. But this was also on high energy physics instrumentation. So there are a number of names here which relate, who gave talks on high physics instrumentation. But I think this is very significant, in fact, and not new, that there has been a lot of cross-fertilization between high physics and secondary radiation physics or science when it comes to developing new kinds of radiation detectors. One of the pioneers in instrumentation was Valenta, who developed in both fields, one can say. We also had Carlo Rubbia and other high energy physicists contributing to Salvini, etc. But there were also then in synchrotron radiation physicists. We had a few Swedes, Nordgren from Uppsala University, Quick, who was working at the SRSF at that time. So there was a mixture of these two categories, but for good reasons, because this was really, there was this cross-fertilization I mentioned between instrumentation in two fields. It can also be interesting to see that the organizations that supported this event and were then the city of Torino, ICTP, IAEA, and the Swedish Institute. And the Swedish Institute paid, in fact, the travel of the 30 Middle Eastern scientists who attended the seminar. And we made it possible. In fact, we started out having the idea to organize the meeting in Sweden, but we accepted Torino, and this brought down the travel budget also, of course, because Sweden is even further away from the Middle East. And the Swedish Institute has continued to support SESAME. Currently, we have a fellowship or scholarship program with bringing Middle Eastern scientists to Sweden, in particular to Max IV lab and Max IV user labs, and with financial support from the Swedish Institute. So let me stop sharing that and just finish by continuing by saying that so really having now connecting to SESAME. This meeting played a certain role there. It was at this meeting in Torino that two initiatives joined. Gus Voss, as I pointed out already, was one of the invited speakers, and he was also participating in a roundtable discussion with the theme of research activities in the Middle East. And in this discussion, Gus presented to the participants of the seminar the proposal to move the best synchrotron light source in Berlin to the Middle East at the laboratory there to be set up. And this was then the other line, which where Herman had been very active also already years before the seminar. But this was then became viral through the fact that we had 30 Middle Eastern scientists present who the proposal met with a great interest from them. And it was decided at the end of this Torino meeting to have the next MESC seminar, the third one, if you like, or planning meeting to be organized. And this then was organized in Sweden in April 1998 to decide on the next steps. And it was at that time that Sergio asked Herwig Schopper, who had not been at the Torino meeting, but who had been connected to MESC, to help with the realization of the proposal made by Gus in the April 98 at the seminar in Torino. And in April 98, the MESC group and the formal representatives from the Middle Eastern countries met at Uppsala University. And this has already been mentioned earlier today, that this was really the first formal official meeting where this SESAME, proto-SESAME was discussed. The meeting was followed by a one-day seminar on the project at the Royal Academy of Science in Stockholm. And it was decided at this Uppsala meeting to set up under Herwig's leadership the SESAME or Proto-SESAME organization and approach UNESCO and IAEA for support. And this has been largely discussed already. So I end my report, my injection here. Thank you very much.